Hey guys, Guardian Draco here with a video on what characters you should consider maximum breaking their weapons, because in the upcoming patch, not the one that's coming in like 2 to 3 days, but rather the one that's coming after that patch, there's going to be an anniversary update, and apparently they're going to be giving a lot of free goodies, especially a transcending green hammer. You know, the green hammer that's used to limit break weapons, right? So they're going to be giving one of those for free, so I thought I'd make a video on what heroes you should consider maximum breaking their weapons. So let's begin. But first, let me tell you that 93% of my viewers have yet to hit that subscribe button according to this chart right here. So if you like this video, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one in the future. Remember, it's free and you can always unsubscribe later. Now let's begin. First, it's going to be the first tier. And with these characters, you cannot go wrong maximum breaking these characters in pretty much any account, regardless of how you started and how it's going. First off is going to be pretty obvious. That should be Future Princess, the one character I refuse to use on my main account. I really don't like this character, but she is a must-have unit. Even now, she's still amazing in Arena and amazing in Coliseum. Yes, you have Zoe kind of destroying the ranged Future Princess meta in Coliseum, but even then, Future Princess still relevant in Coliseum, still relevant in Arena. She's just too good to ignore. Then you have her for PvE, and she's a monster in PvE. She's still a must-have unit, so you can't go wrong maximum breaking her weapon. That should be obvious. Then we have one that might not be that obvious, and some people would disagree. Whoops, let me find him. That's right, Ogma. Ogma's the next one. He is great for PvE. Pretty much a must-have really if you're doing orbital lift. He is good in Arena, not a top tier unit, but definitely still relevant, and he is still good in Coliseum. I'd say pretty darn good considering some teams really need him to even work in Coliseum. And then the defense boost that he has is just no other character has that right now. He just gives so much defense, especially to squishy units. And on top of that, if you maximum break his weapon, it doesn't give him useless damage, but rather plus 10% defense, which is a massive boost. And there's just mostly orbital lifts. There's levels that you cannot get through without having Ogma with his maximum broken weapon. So you can't go wrong maximum breaking his weapon. You might not be using him right now, but in orbital lift or some more PvE content in the future, you're gonna need him. After that is the second tier, and this is great heroes to maximum break their weapons, especially if you're currently using any of these heroes. You should definitely consider maximum breaking their weapons. Let's start with one of my favorites, and that's MK99. She is an Arena and Coliseum monster. Yes, Zoe is now countering her in Coliseum kind of, but whenever the enemy doesn't have a Zoe, she's still a monster, still great unit. Zoe mostly balanced the Coliseum, so that doesn't mean MK99 is out of the picture. It's just that she's not as easily overpowered as she used to be. And in Arena, she's still a monster, especially in Masters Arena. If you can just ban Zoe, there you go, you're free to run with MK99, and people know that, so they're banning her. She's a monster. As for Raid, she's also a monster there. She leads the light team for Raid. MK99 easily. If you have her and use her, you should consider max limit breaking her weapon. Then we have Lilith, pretty much MK99 but a light unit, right? So for Arena, she's a monster. She can even fend off against Future Princess if you play your cards right, and she can even do great damage against MK99. Even though MK99 is a monster, she out damages Beth in a 1v1, which is crazy. Even though it's only by a little, she beats Beth. She's decent in Coliseum because she attacks from far away, but she still has melee AI, which means she does some stupid things that get right up close to Future Princess. So I wouldn't say she's good in Coliseum, but she's acceptable if you got nothing else. As for Raid, she's definitely a monster. She leads the dark team. She does insane amounts of damage. She has defense down. If you have her and you use her, maximum breaking her weapon is not a bad idea at all. Then we have another unit that I still don't own, although this one I wish I kind of owned her, because the thing is, for Raid, Mayrio is a monster. She leads the Earth team for Raid. She does crazy amounts of damage, great unit, and with Bari, she does extra damage. Bari becomes a little tankier. That's great to see. She's viable in Coliseum, especially if you put her into an Earth team. great. She pretty much revived the Earth team in Coliseum. Then for Arena, oh my god, she is such a pain with her quick weapon skill that just boom, and it's basically as fast as Eugene's weapon skill, but you only need 2 instead of 3, and it's easier to land as well. She is a great unit for Raid, decent unit for Coliseum, great if you have an Earth team, and for Arena, she's a great unit. You can't go wrong maximum breaking Mario's weapon. Next up, we got the trusty old rat of the game, Nari. She is a monster in Arena, monster in Coliseum, monster in Raid. I mean, honestly, Nari should probably go in the first tier with Ogma and Future Princess because of how reliable she has been. And in the future, I don't see her falling off yet. She's still going to be at least good in every single thing in the game. So yeah, you can't go wrong maximum breaking Nari's weapon. Then we have another basic unit with Future Knight. Again, a monster in Arena, a beast in Coliseum, and she leads the Raid basic team. So with that being said, I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. If you're good in Coliseum and you're good in Arena and you're good in Raid, you're good to maximum break this character. Again, I don't think this character is going to fall off in the future, so I don't think you can go wrong maximum breaking Future Knight's weapon. Next up, you have Gabriel, and you know how it goes. A great unit for Arena and Coliseum. I wouldn't say top tier, but definitely a good unit. For Raid in the light team, you kind of need her. Currently, there's only 2 really good light units for the light team. And so with that being said, I don't think she's going to be replaced anytime soon. For Arena, like I said, she's good. For Coliseum, still good, even though Zoe is out there wiping the floor with light units, especially the ranged ones. She's still going to be good. I don't think everyone's going to have Zoe, so again, those units will still have a spot. It's just not as OP as it used to be. I don't think you can go wrong maximum breaking Gabriel's weapon. Then you have Noxia. This one is a little bit shaky, but I'm going to put her in the second tier anyways because Arena and Coliseum, she's hands down a beast of a unit. I mean, she's one of those units that in Coliseum is still holding back Zoe. And in Arena, I mean, she's just a pain to deal with. Even if you have Future Princess, she can go toe to toe with Future Princess. For PvE, she is a great unit like Ogma. Potentially trying to replace Ogma, but I'm not quite sure she's going to be replacing Ogma because of Ogma's defense buff. Instead, she gives HP. And in some levels, her little monster can tank really well, but at the same time, sometimes you just need a super tank like Ogma so that you don't get bursted down because the monster does have a cooldown. But with that being said, Noxia just barely makes it into second tier because I don't think you can go wrong maximum breaking her weapon, at least for like a couple months. I'd say 4-6 months. Then maybe something will come up that will replace Noxia, but for now, you can't go wrong maximum breaking her weapon. And then guys, the last one on tier 2 is Zoe. The reason for this is, yes, in Arena she's a monster, yes, in Coliseum she's a monster. That's kind of it, so maybe she doesn't belong in the second tier, but she's the main counter to Future Princess, to MK99, to Gabriel in Coliseum, and even in Arena. And because of everything she's done for the game, especially if you have a melee team, I don't think you can go wrong maximum breaking Zoe's weapon either. Alright guys, so now for tier 3 units. Now these units are sort of acceptable units to maximum break their weapons. Although I wouldn't be rushing out to maximum break these units as weapon. But if you're using them or you really like these units, then go for it, right? And by the way, remember, this tier list isn't necessarily perfect, which means some units in the first tier should be in the second, some units in the second should be in the first, and so on. Basically, some units could be higher up by 1 tier or lower by 1 tier, etc. Up to you guys based on your accounts. Now let's begin. First is Marina. You see, this unit might work for Coliseum, might work for PvE, that's about it. But for Arena, especially in a melee map, Marina is still a very good unit and she will kick butts left and right, except for certain units in which she will struggle. But Marina, still definitely a strong unit. So if you have her weapon maximum broken, good for you. If you're considering maximum breaking her weapon, then I really hope you like this unit, because yes, you can do it. And if you're using her for Arena, yes, it'll be okay, but yeah, not necessarily the best unit to maximum break her weapon right now. Next up, you got Eva, who is pretty good in Coliseum. Maybe, I think right now she's in one of the top 100 teams that is dominating Coliseum, and that has happened before. So for Coliseum, she's pretty good. For Raid, she's definitely really good because you need her for the Raid basic team. But honestly, I think that's about it for this unit. So if you're going to maximum break her weapon, again, I really hope you like this unit. Aside from that, I probably wouldn't recommend it. Then we have Tinia, and Tinia is one of those characters that maybe she belonged in the second tier rather than the third tier. I'm not 100% sure, but I'd say for Raid, she's a monster. Great unit to have. You can fit her into pretty much any team. Similar to Nari, she has really good buffs or debuffs for the bosses in Raid, so she's really good for that. For Coliseum, she's also really good. I'm not going to say she's like a top tier unit for Coliseum, but she has been in some of the best teams out there in Coliseum. So definitely someone you could consider maximum breaking her weapon, especially if you like Tinia. I've even seen her be brought into Arena, and I mean, she got some buffs recently, so she was doing a lot of damage to me. So Tinia, definitely consider it, you know. Then we have Bianca. She's a great unit for Arena. I mean, definitely a great unit for Arena. Really tough to beat, at least for me. For Coliseum, still a great unit because as soon as they attack her, let me check, when hit by enemies, yep, her attack increases and the enemy's attack decreases by 30% for 6 whole seconds. That's a huge decrease. So for Arena and Coliseum, she's a great unit. As for Raid, it seems like a lot of people aren't using her in the water team with Garum, but I personally use her and I think she's great for Raid. So with that being said, Bianca, if you like this unit, if you personally use this unit, you know, you can consider maximum breaking her weapon. She's not a top tier, but not a bad choice either. Then we have Rue. Once again, good for Arena, good for Coliseum, especially if you have an Earth team. She's amazing, right? She's good for Raid, for the Earth team again. That's kind of it. She's not like a crazy overpowered unit for Arena or Coliseum or even for Raid. You can kind of replace her, but in the end of the day, I mean, you will want to have her. So maximum breaking her weapon, if you really like her, if you're really into the Earth team, then yes. Otherwise, maybe not. I wouldn't be rushing to maximum break her weapon. Then we have Erebel. She's a great unit for Raid. I mean, definitely a great unit for Raid. I wanted to replace her with Karina, but the damage she does, surprisingly good. You can't replace her with Karina long term. You're definitely gonna need Erebel. For Coliseum, she's a good unit. I've seen her be used in some teams. I'm not going to say she's a great unit or even a top tier unit. Even now where the dark team is a little more prevalent, I don't think she's that crazy of a good unit in Coliseum. I have seen people use her in Arena. Not that impressive. So if you really like the dark team and you like Erebel, you can consider maximum breaking her weapon. But again, I wouldn't be rushing to maximum break Erebel's weapon. Then we have Bari. Okay, Bari is interesting because for Raid, she's a monster. For Coliseum, especially in the Earth team, she's pretty good. So with that said, it's if you have Mayrio and you're considering maximum breaking her weapon, or you already maximum broke her weapon, then Bari might be a good consideration. If you're going to use Mayrio and Bari in Coliseum and you already used them in Raid, okay. Other than that, I mean, it's okay, but I would not be rushing to maximum break Bari's weapon. Now for Garum, oof, this one's hard because I really like Garum. For Raid, I think Garum is an absolute legend. So much damage. He's an absolute glass cannon, which means it's all damage. For Coliseum, still really good. I have him on one of my accounts with a water team with Ogma in there and Nari and Bianca. And he does really good damage. He's gotten me really far, even though I don't have level 300 Guardian base camp. So I want to like Garum, but I don't think I can. He's good in Raid, good in Coliseum, but he's not that great in Arena. And he's not for everyone. So if you have a water team with him, yeah, definitely consider maximum breaking his weapon. Otherwise, I wouldn't be rushing to maximum break Garum's weapon. Then finally, we come to the last one in the third tier, which is Lucy. She's good in Arena, definitely annoying in Arena to deal with because of how fast she moves and her cards that can go through walls and hit you pretty fast and pretty hard to dodge. She's definitely a good unit for Arena. I wouldn't say top tier, but definitely good. As for raid, seems like some people really like her crit chance. Personally, I haven't been using her myself, so I haven't seen exactly how you match her in there, but people say she's good for raid. And so if you have her, if you're using her, definitely consider maximum breaking her weapon. Otherwise, I personally am not rushing to maximum break Lucy's weapon. Okay guys, now for the fourth tier, which is basically niche units that are only good in one thing or only good in a certain team and for only like a small portion of game content. So needless to say, I don't recommend maximum breaking these units' weapons. Let's see, first one is Split Vise. Obviously mostly only good for early game PvE and only good when you have like an like a fire team for arena where it's Split Vise, Vishuvak, Lin. Other than that, not really any good. Then you have Lapis, which is good for Tower of Horizon for light units, and maybe you have a light team for arena. Outside of that, Lapis not very good. Then you have Lupina, which I personally like. I use her for raid. I use her in my account that has a dark team. I use her for Coliseum, but honestly, I don't really recommend her, especially not maximum breaking her weapon. You should have her for raid, but not maximum broken. I don't recommend maximum breaking Lupina's weapon. Then you have Lan, which some people find a lot of good use with Lan in arena, but for Coliseum she's no good. For PvE, not really that good. For raid, she's not good. So, you know, if you like her, okay, but I would not recommend maximum breaking Lan's weapon. Next up is Eugene, and personally I have her. Personally, I maximum broke her weapon, and personally I will be the first to tell you, you probably shouldn't do that. She's good for a light team, she's good for a melee team, all of this in arena. Outside of arena, she's not very good. I thought she would be good in raid. I was wrong. You guys let me know in my video where I did the raid tier list. Eugene, not a good unit. Other than for a team for arena, for a melee team or a light team for arena, then okay. But other than that, I don't recommend you maximum break her weapon. Next up is Vishuvak, and you might think, oh well, she's good for raid and she's good for arena. Well, she's definitely good in arena. I wouldn't say a top tier unit, but definitely good, especially if you put her into a fire arena team. Definitely good. But for raid, the fire team is the weakest team by far, so she's not really good for raid. You should replace the fire team with like almost any other team and you'll be better off. And for Coliseum, it's interesting because now you can use melee units in Coliseum, but I still wouldn't recommend maximum breaking Vishuvak's weapon. Then you have a Leaf, and this is pretty much a no-brainer. I think most people would agree. You should not maximum break his weapon. Although it is always fun seeing an Alif in arena just clapping cheeks, but let's be honest, that's his only use for now. You never know, in the future his ranged defense buff might be really useful, but for now I think that's his main use. I don't even see him in Coliseum, so do not maximum break his weapon unless you really like clapping cheeks with Alif in arena against those people that just don't see it coming. Next up is Maya or Mia, and she is a must-have unit in my opinion because she is the best healer in the game right now. Who knows, maybe Eleanor, when she comes out in a few days, she's going to be a better healer. I'm not so sure about that, but yeah, Maya, Mia, must-have unit, great healer. But when it comes to maximum breaking her weapon, it gives her more damage instead of more healing, so I just don't recommend it. And she's only good for PvE, and maybe she might be good in Coliseum. I wouldn't say she's a top tier unit, but she's pretty good in Coliseum. So yeah, it's just her weapon doesn't give anything useful for what she does, which is healing, so don't recommend maximum breaking. Then you have Lin, which is one of my favorite units for arena. Great damage. I always carry injury negation cards because of how annoying she is if you don't have them. But outside of arena, yeah, she doesn't have that much use, so I don't recommend maximum breaking her weapon. Again, for raid, she might sound like a great unit, but the melee team, not a great idea. The fire team, not a great idea. So yeah, outside of arena, Lin doesn't have much use, in my opinion. So don't maximum break their weapon. Then you have Veronica. she's pretty fun. In raid, she's great. In arena, she's great. But mostly in raid, people have said that you can even use Coco's staff on her and she'll do more damage with that one instead of her original weapon, and that one's easier and cheaper to maximum break. So maximum breaking her weapon, not a great idea, at least not for raid. But if you're going to be using her to cheese arena with Future Knight, oh man, I've had that happen to me and it can be so annoying. For that reason, yeah, sure. Outside of that reason, which is very niche, I just don't recommend you maximum break her weapon at all. Then lastly, you have the new unit, Yusei. And I don't know, because Yusei, she doesn't feel that good, and it seems like most people aren't really using her, even in arena. Not that good for raid, not that good for Coliseum. But I want to believe because of her party buff, she's going to have some use in the future. I'm gonna keep my hopes up, but for now, I don't think you should maximum break her weapon. She might be more useless than a leaf? Probably not, but yeah, sorry Yusei. But yeah guys, that's all the unique units in the game right now. And again, this sort of tier list isn't 100% certain. I'd say depending on what you like, these units can go up or down one tier. So with that said guys, that's it for this video. I hope this helped you guys decide what hero you want to use the free green hammer on. So good luck maximum breaking your weapons and have a good anniversary day.